Hello to all of my favorite people. Welcome back. Thank you for joining another episode of Literally What. Guys, I first have to complain because I can't with my hair right now. I was on FaceTime with my friend earlier getting ready to shoot the podcast, and I curled my hair. I hairsprayed my hair, and this was probably only 30 minutes ago. My hair is like, if you're watching on YouTube, like there's no curl. It has deflated and the curls have just walked away from me. And then my friend was like getting ready to go out and her hair was just like perfectly curled, and I'm sure it'll stay like that the whole entire night. And I just don't know why my hair refuses to curl for me. This has been an issue my whole entire life. I think the only time it stayed curled was when I went to my junior prom, I think it was, and it stayed curled throughout the whole night. Other than that, my hair has never curled, and it sucks because I think my hair looks so gorgeous when it's curled, but it will just never happen for me, which really sucks. I've even like gone to hairdressers and been like, I don't understand. They're like, just hairspray it. Guys, I literally will hairspray it, curl it, hairspray it again while it's on the curler, hold it in my hand until it's dry, and it's already like, my hair now looks just disgusting and like I didn't do anything to it. And I swear I put in a ton of effort for you guys. Like I literally curled my hair. I was like, I'm gonna look so beautiful for all of them. And it failed, but it's okay. I still am looking somewhat decent. So anyway, I hope you all had an amazing week. I'm so excited to be here for just some more really fun things to get into. There's a lot of really juicy stories today, so I'm really excited to get into it because I'm a girl and I love to gossip. Okay, like sorry about it. Before we get into it, I have the funniest story that happened this past weekend. My husband and I were just like hanging out, and it was getting that time where we were gonna take the dog to the park, and so I was like, should we like take her now? And he was like, no, like it's literally pouring outside. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, it's not. And he was like, no, you can hear like the rain coming, like pouring outside. And I thought he was like tricking me. So I was like, okay. So he's like, walk outside. So I walk outside. It's not raining, but I look to the left, and in the front of our yard, there's this like geyser like shooting up of like all this water, I guess, like something. I don't know how water works or like plumbing, but it was so awful. And so I was like, babe, it's not raining, but there's like a whole lake in the front of our house right now. And this is at like probably 10:30, 11. So we're like, who the hell are we supposed to call for this? So we call like our neighborhood we rent. And so we called like, there's like an emergency, whatever. And they were like, oh, okay, like we'll come out and fix it. They didn't come out until like 10 o'clock the next day. So by the time I woke up the next morning, it was just like so awful because the water had been pouring out like all night. But they got it fixed, and now we have like a whole dirt patch. So hopefully they plant some flowers because it just doesn't look good. But that was really funny because I was like, it's not pouring outside. And he's like, you can hear water. But I'm like, but that sounds more like a fountain. So maybe someone's putting in a fountain. But it was more like a mini geyser in our front yard. So that was really fun. And yeah, it's so funny. Like when you are like in a house and things go wrong, and when you're growing up, it's like parents they'll take care of it, or you call someone, we're here, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and he was like trying to like fix it. He had like a wrench and he was like getting down into this like huge hole, and I'm like, I'm glad you're handy, but it's crazy when you have your own place and have to like take care of things. Anyway, that's all I had to rant about. You know me, always something crazy happening in my life. But let's get into some hot gossip, hot take, stories, and advice that will have you saying literally what? Literally what? All right, let's cut. I can't even speak today, but let's get into our stories. And we also brought back the Literally What segment where you guys write in about like advice you need, any crazy stories, and I had a ton piling up because I haven't done it the past few weeks with Bachelor recaps. I don't want to keep you guys here for like 2 hours because I know you are busy humans and have things to do, but we do have that at the end now that we are out of Bachelor recaps, which is like so depressing. But I cannot get enough content. Like Daisy was on a podcast that we're going to talk about later, and then Kelsey and Joey were doing a ton of podcasts, and I'm just like eating up every bit of information I can get from the Bachelor people. But yeah, so we'll have the Literally What at the end after our stories until a new show, I guess, comes around. Oh my gosh. Also, do y'all remember, this is an artist who I think is severely underrated, and I used to listen to her all the time, like in middle and high school, and then she's been popping up on like my TikTok. I guess she's been doing like a tour concerts, but Zara Larsson, oh my gosh, I forgot about her. And then I saw her pop up, and then I went on Spotify and like I had some of her music downloaded already, but I know all of her songs and they are so amazing. Like, she is such a good artist. So if you guys don't remember her, or if you've never listened, or if you have listened, like, just go back and listen to her, because she has some really good songs. And low-key, I'm gonna see if she is touring and I can go to a concert, because she is like my kind of artist that I listen to. But all right, first story. The Forbes billionaire list has come out, and no, I'm not on it. Isn't that a shocker? But we are going to get into who is on the list. The richest people in 2024, a record year for 10-figure wealth, has left the billionaire class bigger and richer than ever. The biggest headline was that Taylor Swift is now on the billionaire list. She, I think, is the only musically solo person to become a billionaire just solely based off of music. But the planet's billionaires have had a year, so let's see who made it onto this list. They are worth 14.2 trillion in total. Okay, that is up by 2 trillion since last year, and then 1.1 trillion above the previous record that was set in 2021. 2/3 of the people on this list are worth more than they were a year ago, and only 1/4 are poorer than they were, I guess. Much of the gains come from the top 20 billionaires, who added a combined 700 billion in wealth since 2023, and from the US, which now boasts a record 813 billionaires worth a combined 5.7 trillion. Crazy, 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 crazy. But let's just get to this. Number 1, Bernard Arnault and family. I don't know what he does, but apparently he oversees the empire of 75 fashion and cosmetic brands. Wait, is this like Louis Vuitton, Sephora? Oh, so this guy, okay, he's in charge of a lot. So he acquired Tiffany & Co. in 2021 for 15.8 billion, which is the biggest luxury brand acquisition ever. Louis Vuitton, dang. Now I just want to like read about all these people, but he is number 1. So 233 billion, and he is 75, and he lives in France. So does that count as like the US top? I don't know. Anyway, jumping on to number 2, and all the rest of these do live in the US, but number 2, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Larry Page. I'm not going to read all of these people. A lot of families on here. From Canada, China. I don't know a lot of these names. It's so interesting to me, because it's like, I feel as so that some people just inherit money from, you know, being born into it, and then others who have made themselves billionaires, which I think is just so cool to see that, you know, you don't have to be born into a family with a ton of money. You can like become like this, you know? I guess this is just the whole entire list of every single billionaire. And I'm not going to read all of you because that's like so boring. But Taylor Swift did make it on the list. And I think Kim Kardashian was still on it as well. And I feel like you don't see a ton of women on this as well. So it's really interesting to see who makes it. Anyway, that's what I want to talk about, billionaires. It's always fun to see who's on it, even though I literally don't know any of the names. But let's get into our next story, which I literally JOJO SIWA, that's all I'm going to say. Like, I can't with this whole new era or whatever she's going into. I can't escape her. I can't escape this song and music video that she put out. Everywhere I look, I don't even follow her, like follow anything about it, and it's like a video will pop up and I'm like, I'm scarred for life after seeing this. So she went to the iHeartRadio Awards, and if you haven't seen, she basically probably a few weeks ago started announcing that she's coming out with like this new era. She's becoming an adult. She's no longer a kid, and, you know, just make sure that your kids are not looking at my stuff because I'm, you know, changing into a new person, and just really pushing this adult era. And in all of the interviews that I saw with her, she was saying, you know, I want to be like Miley Cyrus, or when Lady Gaga did it, or Britney Spears. And it's just, I think what makes it so cringy is the fact that she's blatantly out telling everyone, this is my adult era. This is, you know, I'm going to be doing a ton of like crazy bad things. And no one else really did that. They just kind of went into that new era of their lives. Miley Cyrus with Wrecking Ball, Britney Spears, Slave for Me, like they didn't announce it, and she's pushing it so hard and being so cringy, and still, you know, it's just, I don't like it at all. It's just, she's trying too hard and she's pushing it, and it's like, why would you tell everyone you're going to this adult era and then just being cringy with it? I just can't do it. And then I was watching the VIALL podcast, and I guess they're friends because she went on some reality show with Nick Viall, and she was basically saying that, you know, she just really doesn't understand all the hate, and, you know, there's things that we haven't seen before that's going to come out. And literally, it's all a marketing scheme. And I will give it to her team that her marketing was amazing, because I remember I went to watch the music video, obviously, because I was so intrigued as to what was happening. And I mean, there was nothing that we hadn't seen. She already basically put everything out in like teaser clips, and she got what she wanted, though. Like, she got over 1 million views. I don't even know what it's at right now. I watched it once and it had 1 million views, but her marketing team's doing great. And I'm sure that everyone is watching and listening. I mean, it worked, but I feel like everyone's hating on it. So I don't know. I can't imagine her getting so much hate and just knowing that she's going to be getting a ton of hate and still like going and playing along with it. I don't know. I can't. But what is so interesting is I watched a TikTok, of course, because I'm on like JOJO SIWA TikTok now. But this girl looked up the producers and who wrote that song called Karma. And all 3 of the writers and producers did all like Disney songs. They did like Descendants, just all these original Disney songs. And so I'm like, you're in this adult era, but you're having it written by people who wrote for Disney music. And then if you saw her look at the iHeartRadio Awards, it's just, I don't know. And it's also like, you're basically saying you're copying all these people. Like, you're not being unique. You're just being like really cringy and like pushing this out and trying way too hard. And it's just, any clip I see is just cringy and gross. That's really all I can say about it. So she says that she has all this stuff coming and all this craziness. I don't know. I don't think she's gonna, you know, do anything crazy that she thinks she's going to do. I think she really is just all talk for the marketing plan, and it's working because I'm sure everyone ran to watch the music video, but I can't escape the song and videos of her, and I want to be over it. I don't want to see it anymore. But anyway, that's the JoJo Siwa saga. Hopefully now that the music video is out, she'll leave it alone and stop teasing this adult era, which, again, no one teased this adult era. And if you want to compare yourself to Miley Cyrus, you can at least sing. You can't even sing. Like, I can't. Don't compare yourself to Miley Cyrus. That's my girl. Don't do it. All right. Our next story is more of a gossipy story. So I don't know if you know who she is, but ASPYN OVARD, she was a beauty guru influencer when I was probably like 10 years old. I started watching her on YouTube, and she ended up dating her high school sweetheart named Parker. They got married. They now are on their 3rd child together. And the day that she announced her pregnancy this past, I think it was April 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, she started posting that they had baby number 3. She was in the hospital, and people somehow got into the Utah court records and discovered that she filed for divorce the same exact day that she announced her 3rd baby. So there's all this speculation about it, a lot being that everything she's posting right now about the baby happened way prior, and she's now just posting it because in one of the videos, he's like in the delivery room with her. He still has his ring on, and she's now just posting a lot of weird content. So once all these articles started coming out, obviously like E! Page 6, like all these news sites got hold of this, you know, they're getting a divorce and she filed. Now there's just like a lot of speculation on it because she still has not said a word. All she has done is kept posting, I think, just her scheduled content. She has limited all comments on like her post and still has not said anything. So the YouTuber, who has over 3.2 million subscribers on the video platform, filed for divorce from her husband, Parker Ferris, on April 1st. Okay, so this was April 1st, and this was the same day she announced the birth of their 3rd daughter. Okay, so this was also, I guess, where a lot of the confusion came because it was April Fool's, and I tell everyone, like, watch on April Fool's. And when she announced this, it wasn't as weird that you're announcing your baby on April Fool's, but I think also filing on April Fool's, some people thought it was a joke, but now it's just, she still hasn't said anything, but has just been hiding comments or like, it's just weird. And so additional details of the third baby that they had on April 1st, like her name and exact birthday, they haven't been shared. Just that the baby was born early. So that's why there's a lot of speculation that she actually has had the baby for a lot longer than she's making it seem on social media. And so ASPYN, who typically does not wear her wedding ring, is continuing to share videos documenting their birth. Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine. There's definitely no way that I don't know because I don't know her life, but I can't imagine her filing for divorce while she's in the hospital and just had her third baby. But I don't know. And I don't know. I've never had a kid, so I don't know how it is. But I can't imagine it'd be easy to just have your third kid. And now you're having to deal with like custody and all of that and a divorce. And it's so hard because I grew up watching them. And whenever you see a couple that you just like were in love with and just were obsessed with and now like they're not together anymore, it's just sad. And I'm very interested to see when they decide to come out and make a statement and say something, because right now she's just posting, like she just posted a sponsored thing a couple days ago and it's just so weird. I'm sure she did not expect people to find out. Honestly, if this didn't get leaked, the court documents, I'm sure that they would have continued to just post content and not talk about it for a long time, but we won't know until she says anything. Yeah, it's just sad. I loved them. I kind of didn't watch her as much as I got older, but I literally watched all of their videos when I was growing up, and it's just sad. And I can't imagine it's gonna be hard now having 3 kids and going through divorce. So I'll definitely make sure if there's any updates, we'll talk about it on the next podcast. Hopefully there are in the next week, but you never know. Okay, our next story is Daisy from The Bachelor went on the VIALL files, and I was so excited to hear everything about what she was saying. And the main thing that everyone was wondering is why she was not going to be the Bachelorette. Now, what's interesting about whenever I watch the VIALL files is he obviously was a big part in the Bachelor Nation, and so he knows a lot of like the behind the scenes. So he was asking a lot of good questions that other interviewers did not ask before. And, obviously one being when, they decided if they were going to go in the car together to that finale where he was going to propose to Kelsey. And he was basically like, good for you for standing up, because producers probably were pushing you to just go along and like get your heart broken, you know what I mean, for the TV. And obviously they weren't going to let her just like leave because you want that. And she was like, yeah, like I definitely had to keep saying like, I want to do this. I know he's not picking me. She was like, I had to tell producers multiple times, like, I know that he's not picking me and that I wanted to ride in the car together. And so I think that's really interesting to hear that Nick was saying that sometimes like producers will tell you like, no, he's so in love with you, and kind of like gaslight or like lie to you just so that you keep going, and then you end up with this massive heartbreak, but it's good for TV. So that was really interesting to see. And then of course he was asking why she wasn't going to be the Bachelorette. And, a lot of it is just, she was asked and she did think about it, but she ultimately decided that she just wasn't ready. And I understand. And a lot of it, she said with her health, it would be really hard. And it's also just emotionally taxing in long hour days. She said that on her season with Joey, she didn't end up talking to him on the first night until 6 a.m. And so I can totally understand. And I feel like we didn't really realize as viewers, like how emotionally taxing it is on people, especially to be the lead, because she's like, I would be the lead. So I would literally be in charge of 30 people's feelings, and like, you can't send them all home on the first night. So it was really interesting just to see her. She is so well spoken. And she was saying that like, she will not really turn any opportunity down. Obviously she did the Bachelor or Bachelorette, but that was a lot of thought put into it. But I think she's going to end up doing a lot, because she said multiple times, like, I'm always up for a challenge. I'm never really going to turn down anything that will, just seem good for me. So I think we'll be seeing her a lot in the future. She did say if there was a Bachelor in Paradise, she wouldn't do it. I think she's kind of done with the whole process, but I think we'll see her doing a lot of other things. And I'm excited for her. I love her. I follow her on everything now. She's just so emotionally like mature, but also very just very aware, not just of herself but of other people. And I think that's just a really good quality to have. And I think she's just a really down to earth, like legit real person. And definitely go watch the interview that they did because it was just really interesting and you learn a lot about her. And it's, I don't know, it was a cute little interview. So love her. And I'm excited to see what all she does because everyone's like literally obsessed with her. She has more followers than the literal Bachelor Joey. So that's just anything about her. Let's get into our next story. American Nightmare subject Denise Huskins tells all on her abduction. I talked about this show a few episodes back just as like a little recap because I watched the documentary. And so then she went and what am I saying? She went on Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper, which honestly, Alex has been getting bomb-ass guests on her podcast. Like, oh my gosh, we just talked about freaking Brittany Snow that was on her podcast, and now Denise Huskins. So Denise Huskins, nearly 10 years after the mysterious abduction involving her and now husband Aaron Quinn, led to accusations of a Gone Girl-inspired ruse. And then Denise, whose story was recently explored on the Netflix docuseries American Nightmare, recounted that terrifying night of March 23rd. This was honestly the craziest documentary I have ever seen. And I have seen a lot of like murder, mystery, kidnapping, just weird documentaries. And, you know, even when you are watching just like a Criminal Minds or anything like that, there's always twists. But this, so crazy. I highly recommend you watching it. So this is what she said to Alex. She said, I was dead asleep on April. Oh, but this she's on the podcast. But she said, I was dead asleep. I thought I was dreaming. I could hear a strange man's voice, and it's like my subconscious was conflicted. It was almost as if it was saying, don't wake up, don't wake up. So that night, they ended up going to sleep, and then her and her boyfriend at the time. And then at around 3 a.m., the couple awoke to bright flashing white lights, and there was a group of men in their room and a distinct, almost robotic voice that demanded Denise restrain her boyfriend using zip ties. There were so many little pieces of it that was just so even hard to process. It isn't what you normally think. Like you watch true crime or horror movies and you see this crazy, passionate violence. But she realized that criminals can be patient and control, and, you know, it was just really planned out. And she said that was more scary, that they had everything like down to a science. And so she said, even at that moment, I'm thinking maybe this is just a robbery. But then it kept getting worse when they separated me from Aaron and brought me downstairs. And he said, this wasn't meant for you. This was meant for, and he named Aaron's ex by her first and last name. We need to figure out what we're going to do. So she wasn't the intended target. It was Aaron's ex-girlfriend. God, this is like also just such like a scary story. And I remember after watching the documentary, I was like, I couldn't sleep because you don't think at 3 a.m. there's going to be flashing lights and you're going to get abducted from your house. And as this man later revealed to be Matthew Mueller, who was amid a 40-year sentence, as he spoke to her, Denise recalled thinking, how is this meant for anybody, and what the F is this? So she was only gone for 40 hours, and this is why the case was so crazy, because the boyfriend, when he was talking to the cops, didn't really know what was going on, and then like they dropped her back off like at her home, where her parents live street, like 40 hours later. So everyone was like, okay, like what is this? Like we use the police for like nothing. So then she just goes into more details, of course, about the night. So crazy. And then after she returned, she was surprised to find the police were investigating the validity of like their kidnapping claims. And then that was also what was so frustrating about this documentary, is that the police literally didn't believe them and didn't do anything about it, and were like mad at them, and were like gonna sue them or whatever for like them using like wasting the police materials, or I don't even know. But they ended up proved that they were telling the truth, obviously, and then they later sued the city of Vallejo for the way that they were treated by authorities, and then they settled for $2.5 million. And now they are married. They have 2 daughters. This story is just, you never see anything end up like this where it doesn't end up in death, really. So it's also just a crazy story. Like, I don't know. It's just a really, really crazy story. But I haven't watched the full interview yet. I want to, though, because I became obsessed with her and just her resilience. Like, honestly, like if you watch a documentary, she was really smart and she was thinking things through, and it was just really interesting to see. But I'm so happy that they are now married and doing really well. So just a cute little story. And going along the lines with Alex Cooper, our next story, Dave Portnoy reveals that he wasn't invited to former Barstool host Alex Cooper's wedding, which was kind of funny. But it's been more than 3 years since Sophia Franklin and Alex Cooper disbanded their original Call Her Daddy podcast that was under Barstool Sports. And we all remember, well, if you do, their dramatic split between the two co-hosts. And then Alex Cooper and Barstool, Dave Portnoy revealed certain details of how and why it fell apart, blah, 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 blah. So if you don't remember that whole thing, basically, like, Sophia Franklin wanted to kind of shop around to other podcast places. Alex wanted to stay with Barstool and Dave Portnoy, and they ended up just not being able to agree, and because Alex wanted to stay with Barstool, and so she did. But then in 2021, she left Barstool and then went to Spotify for a $60, that would be crazy, $60 million 3-year deal. And so I feel like her and Dave were fine, honestly. But then on the last, he was on the BFFs podcast, and she's obviously, Alex Cooper is getting married, and they were asking Dave if he was invited, and he was like, no, I wasn't invited. And so this is a really long article. I'm like, I thought this was just about the friggin' this is about the, oh my gosh, you guys, this article that I linked, it's literally their whole betrayal. This isn't about the Dave Portnoy thing. That is so funny. Okay, well, let me get the whole. Basically, he wasn't invited, and then he texted Alex something, and then she was like, haha, no, like, it's just like intimate, like, friends and family. And here's what I'll say when it comes to weddings and like guest invites. It is so difficult because on one hand, it's like, you know, I knew these people in my lifetime. They were a big part of my life. But on the other hand, it's like, if you aren't close and you don't really talk anymore, like, there's no point in me inviting them. So there's always a fine line when it comes to weddings. I will say, though, the whole like intimate friends and family is literally the only line to use. And even if you just don't want to invite them, that's what you say. So who knows if she actually wanted him there. It might be a really big wedding and she just didn't want him there. I don't know. I just thought it was funny because he texted her about it. And what I will say, okay, if you know anyone who is getting married or planning a wedding, do not ever text the bride something about like, am I invited? Is this person invited? Like, they are already going through so much stress, and the worst possible thing you can do is text the bride. Text the groom, text someone you know that might know the answer. Like, just don't text the bride. Like, just don't. So the fact that he texted her, I was like, that is crazy. Okay, so this is what he texted her. He said, it's bull that I didn't get invited to your wedding. And she said, Dave, it's just family and a couple of friends, very, very small. That's probably what everyone says. So yeah, I am excited though, because I feel like her wedding dress is going to be really, really pretty. And I don't know if she's going to do ball gown or like a more classy, like lace tight dress. I can see her in both those, but we'll see. Our next story, Reese Witherspoon making Legally Blonde spin-off TV show with Gossip Girl creators. You guys know I love Legally Blonde. You guys know I love Gossip Girl. So the fact that they are coming together to make this happen is going to be so good. And it's not like this is a sequel or a whole other adaptation of something. It's literally a whole entire new show that I think is going to be really, really, really good. Reese Witherspoon is obviously amazing. So I'm really excited. The morning show star is set to executive produce the TV show under her Hello Sunshine production company alongside Gossip Girl creators Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage. And that's not the only detail. What was that? That literally didn't make any sense. Okay. We don't want to be responsible for ruining what's basically Reese's Avengers franchise. What is Elle Woods like at 42? Does she end up becoming all the things she wanted? Blah, 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 blah. So that was what they were going to, I guess, some of these articles, like, I just need to read through them and, like, summarize and annotate, because sometimes I'll be reading these articles and they're so long and they literally just put a bunch of, like, nonsense in here, and then it literally makes, like, no sense, and I can't get the answer that I was asking for. But basically all we know is they're coming out with a spinoff. And I don't know if it's going to have Reese Witherspoon in it or she's just producing it, but only time will tell. All right, let's get into our last story, which is another freaking divorce. Sacha Baron Cohen and, is it Isla or Isla Fisher? I can't like pronounce names ever, but she honestly is the most beautiful girl in this whole entire world. And it's not just because she has red hair, okay? But I have always, like, any single movie or anything I've seen her in, like Scooby-Doo, Great Gatsby, which is my husband's favorite show, she's in that. Now You See Me, which is one of my favorite movies in the whole entire world. She is so beautiful, so gorgeous. I love her to death. And honestly, like, she can do a lot better than this man. So I'm kind of happy that they're getting divorced because she's hot, he's not, okay? But they are divorcing after 13 years of marriage. They posted on, you know, how celebrity couples always post the same little speech on their Instagram stories after a long tennis match lasting over 20 years. Okay, first of all, comparing your 13-year marriage to a tennis match is crazy to me. But they said they're finally putting our rackets down. Who the hell wrote this? That is just embarrassing. In 2023, we jointly filed to end our marriage, and they shared that on April 5th. We have always prioritized our privacy, have been quietly working through this change. We forever share in our devotion and love for our children. We sincerely appreciate you respecting our family's wish. There has been a lot of speculation that this is a result of, what is her name? Rebel Wilson. She just came out with her book, and she basically was saying that Sacha Baron Cohen was just like very abusive and just like awful towards her. And a lot of people were saying that, oh, did she like read the book and see that her husband is like gross? I don't think so, because they said that they divorced in 2023. And the whole Rebel Wilson, Sacha Baron Cohen stuff came out a couple weeks ago. So I don't think it had anything to do with it, but who knows? But she's so beautiful. And like, I'm kind of excited to see who she's going to be with next, honestly. But what is up with all of these divorces? Every single time I've been getting on my Instagram to like look at different news stories, divorce, like Chance the Rapper and his wife just divorced after 5 years. And I don't want to like put all these divorces in the story and make it all just like depressing, but I remember reading something, I think it was last week, that 2024 has just been, there's been a lot of celebrity divorces, and I think they said that like we're going to see a rise, which how do you predict if you're going to see a rise in divorces? But honestly, like it's coming true because there's so many divorces this year, and it's crazy to me. I don't know. A lot of divorces. Who knows? But don't worry, we're not ending on a sad note because we have our Literally What segment. I chose 2 submissions from you guys. If you want to submit, there are a million different ways you can. You can just DM me on Instagram. You can send an email to literallywhat916@gmail.com. There's also a form if you go to my Instagram, or there's a link in my YouTube links and Spotify and Apple Podcasts that you can just click on. It's all anonymous, and just write in really anything that will make the audience go literally what. So let's get into our first submission. Thank you to everyone who did write in. It's always hard like going through and picking which ones, but if I haven't read yours yet, I will be going through, so don't worry. I live in a house with 5 girls, and I overheard a couple of them talking about me and just being super judgmental about something that I did. This isn't the first time that these 2 have talked behind my back about my life. I had enough, and I went out in the living room to confront them. They just looked at me and apologized and said that they weren't doing it in a rude way. I don't know how to approach them again if this keeps happening. Honestly, I've been thinking about just moving out, but should I just try to make it work? And yeah. Okay, here's what I'll say. Girls talk. But if you are truly like best friends and close with someone, they're not going to be gossiping about you behind your back, especially in a judgmental way. And what I always tell myself is if people are talking behind your back about like decisions you're making, or if they're just being rude about it, they're probably just unhappy in their own life and are honestly probably jealous of you. Like I really do think that people who are jealous of others just are going to talk bad about them, or if they're just unhappy in their own life. Because I'm not saying I never gossip about anyone, but I am very like content and try to focus a lot on my life and making like my relationship with my friends and my husband better, and like working on the podcast and like just focusing on other things that are going to benefit me. And obviously like I'm not perfect in that all the time, but if they're doing this all the time and that's how they spend their free time, they're probably just very unhappy. And it probably isn't going to stop. And so I think that if you continue to see them not treating you like how you would want you to be treated, or like how you treat them, what am I trying to say? Like, yes, you can move out if you feel like this just isn't working out. Because I feel like if they're showing signs of this, then they probably aren't really going to be great friends to you in the long run. And also depends on how long you've known them. Like, how long have you known them? Are they just like random roommates, or like are these people that you thought were like your best friends for years? Because that's also another issue, is like, you know, it's hard. It's really hard. But there's always that quote that you see where it's like, if God like removes someone from your life, it's because he saw things that they were saying behind your back, or like that you couldn't see, or that he could see. And I really do think that's true. And I think that just some people don't really know how to be great friends and just talk about other people, and it makes them feel better about themselves. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. It's really hard. I can't imagine like walking up and they're talking about you. Like, I would have probably lost it. But yeah, it's never fun. And if you feel like you just want to be in like a healthier environment, then I just start looking around and seeing if any of your other friends need a roommate or anything like that. Alrighty, our last submission. Hi girlie, love the podcast. I'm a new listener and I'm definitely going back to listen to all the other episodes. That's so sweet. Thank you. I have a dilemma and need to know if I'm overreacting or if this is just me making a literally what scenario in my head. I keep my profile views on my TikTok because I love seeing who views my profile, even though I rarely post. I noticed this girl that I don't talk to anymore keeps viewing my profile. We kind of got into a fight a long time ago, and it's been going on for a couple weeks and seems to be getting frequent. What the heck is she looking at my TikTok for? Should I block her or just let her stalk me? But LOL, literally what? Thank you for using the literally what scenario message. I don't know. How do I say this in a nice way? People who are, especially if you had a falling out, it seems like you had a falling out, and if she's continuing to look at your TikTok, she's probably just honestly wondering what you're up to, and is probably still like obsessed with you. And like, maybe again, like going back to the previous submission, like might be a little jealous of your like your life. I don't know. It's so funny. Like, I have my profile views on too, and I haven't had anyone like crazy view my profile. Sometimes I'll have like someone that I knew like years and years ago view my profile like once, and I'm always like, oh, like you're thinking about me, or like but I would say if she keeps looking like all the time, like reach out to her and be like, hey, like you know, or like post a TikTok that like kind of might be about her, and then see if like she sees it. Or I don't know, that's kind of funny though. But if you want to block her, honestly, just block her. If you don't, I mean, especially if you don't talk to her and you don't want her looking at your stuff, I don't see a reason why you can't block her, because she probably, I mean, she might care, but like, it's not like you're going to see her the next day, you know? So yeah, I think it'll be fine. Whatever decision you make, it'll be the right decision. But yeah, thank you for writing in, all of you guys. We will definitely be bringing this back weekly now until we get our TV recaps back. So if you have anything again that you want to write in about, please write in, because I also am a nosy person and I like reading these things, but I also like helping you guys, because I feel like I have, you know, a lot of stuff's happened to me in my life, so I feel like I have some good advice. And yeah, so I guess that is all we have today. Some really crazy stories, a lot of stories again that might still be in the works, so we might have some updates as well. I am honestly going to get off this podcast and start cleaning again. My husband came home from work, and this never happens to me, but I was like, I really want to rearrange like the furniture in the living room, and he was like, okay. And normally when I say like I want to do something, I say it, but I won't do it until I have the energy to, and that could be days or weeks later. And so he like just started moving the furniture, and I was like, are you doing it now? And he was like, well, yeah, there's no better time than now. And I'm like, it's so funny, like we are so opposite, but it works. And then I got up and like we moved all the furniture around. It looks really good. But now it's like I need to make sure everything's in its spot and like looks really good. But it was so funny. And I had something else. Whenever I'm telling a story, something else pops in my head to talk about, like going off of that, and then I of course lose it. Oh, okay. So my head's all over if you can't tell. But like when I say that I was going to be the furniture and then I wasn't going to do it yet, that is something that is apparently, it's called, I forget what it's called, but there's something where people like me, when they have to do something, like they won't want to do it. Like if I have to make an appointment for something, if I have to go make a return, if I have to like text someone back, like my brain like doesn't want me to do it for some reason, because I don't want to feel like I'm forced to do it. And I don't know if that goes back to like childhood or like if it's just something in my brain, but I want to look more into it because it's really interesting. And if you know me, like I'm the worst texter. Like I will respond to you and like I will read your text, I will respond to you in my head, and then you might never get a text back in response to that. It's just funny that there's certain things that you like, quirks about you, and then you'll see something online and it has like this name and you're like, oh my gosh, that literally describes me. But I just thought that was really funny. So I don't really know where I went off with that, but thank you guys again so much for tuning in. I hope everyone has an amazing week. I hope the weather has been gorgeous for you guys. We're getting again into that summertime. I am so excited. Please write in if you have not. Please make sure to like the YouTube videos and subscribe. That would literally mean the world to me. I post all of my podcasts up on YouTube and you can see my gorgeously non-curled hair, and I do have kind of a new background. I'm doing a lot of remodeling in here and I'm trying to get it to where I want it to be and adding some stuff. But definitely watch the YouTube videos and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, follow my Instagram, like all the pictures, all the clips, follow me, all of the stuff. 5-star reviews on Spotify, anything helps me out. And I just love you guys a lot. This is so much fun for me to do. I still like, it's just fun and I love it. And even if I have one listener, I'm still going to do it until I die. Maybe not until I die, but you get the point. But I love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing week, an amazing day, an amazing night, an amazing just 2024. And you guys are amazing. And I will see you next time for some more hot gossip, hot take, stories, and advice that will have you saying literally what. Bye.